I think if I hear you call me Becky one more time, six-pack, I'm gonna pop your tops. All six of them.
Hey folks, this is Matt once again, and this time I talked about a film that I talked about once a long time ago, but I remember that had got like some type of claim, copyright claim, and I deleted it. And I've been meaning to talk about this film again, and a few people, including this guy Department 47, among others, wanted to hear my opinion on it. And I had seen the film. What year was this, I should say? 2009. And unfortunately the film didn't do much, but I'll get to that. But anyway, the film is Pandorum, aka Dead Space the movie. But I like the way this Pandorum cover is. Like, this cover is like a reflection. See, I like that sort of reflective surface on it. It's a very cool looking cover. I mean, of course you can take it off and then your basic one. But I like this sort of like reflective cover type of thing. Now, Pandorum, the reason I said Dead Space the movie is that when I first saw this, even watching it again, now, I've never played the Dead Space video game, but I saw my friend Michael Keane play Dead Space 2. Obviously, I've never played Dead Space 1, and I'm hoping one day Michael Keane plays that. But, you know, he's busy playing a lot of stuff like Resident Evil Remake. But the reason I kept mentioning it is there's a lot of... This feels like if they did a Dead Space movie, they need to take a page from this. And I'll get to that, but before I start, it's directed by a guy named Christian Alvart, which, unfortunately, he hasn't directed much. He directed some films, and he's from Berlin. Curiosity in the Can, Antibodies, they're sort of German movies. Then he did this film, Pandorum, is his first American film. And it's sad, like I was saying, it didn't do well at all. Like, the film cost around $30 million. It made around $20 million worldwide, which is really pathetic. In the United States, it made $10 million. And it got a 27% approval rating from Rotten Tomatoes. Bloated derivative plot leaves it drifting in space. I disagree with that shit. But it must be getting a fan base because it does get a 6.8 in IMDb, at least by the time I'm doing this video. So it's gotten some kind of fan base. I mean, 6.8 in IMDb, but still, this only made $10 million in the U.S. 20 million worldwide. That's pathetic, and that sucks. This is a pretty damn good flick. But Christian Alvart, all he did after this was Case 39. I haven't seen that film, but I know that was the film that took like 2 or so years for it to come out with Renee Zellweger and Bradley Cooper. It took like 2 or so years, maybe almost 3 years to come out. And when it came out, it didn't do anything again, so... But that's too bad. I mean, it's produced by the same guys who produced Resident Evil. I will say, though, for me personally, I'm a bigger fan of this film than the Resident Evil films, at least for me. Jeremy Bolt and Paul W.S. Anderson Although you don't see Paul W.S. Anderson in the features, it's mainly Jeremy Bolt. So maybe he had more of a hand in it. Stan Winston Studios actually did creature effects, which they did a good job with. And the film itself stars Ben Foster and Dennis Quaid. Ben Foster at first wakes up, and then Dennis Quaid. They wake up, and they're on this ship, the spaceship called the Elysium. And it's been apparently a long time. And when you're in space a long time, you have a loss of memory. So they're trying to piece together what's going on when they wake up from hypersleep. It seems like they're all by themselves. They're wondering what's going on. Why is there's no power? There's an idea that the nuclear reactor is gonna fuck up, so they gotta get that on board. So then access the ship's bridge. So Dennis Quaid's gonna stay behind to work the controls and tell them where to go, while Ben Foster, of course, Ben Foster, he's a good actor. He's been, and I know he was in a movie called Hostage with Bruce Willis. He was in that movie The Mechanic with Jason Statham. X-Men: The Last Stand, 30 Days of Night. He's a good actor. I'm just seeing what he's doing right now. Oh, he was in Contraband. He's doing a film called 360, which I'm not sure what this movie is, 360. It's a drama with Anthony Hopkins and Jude Law. Okay. But yeah, when Ben Foster is going out, he finds some human survivors, but he also finds these creatures roaming around the ship. And one thing leads to another, and he has to try to get from A to B, while not getting killed by these creatures. The reason I kept thinking of Dead Space is for a number of reasons. Number one, the lead guy, kind of like, I believe, what was the guy in Dead Space? Isaac Clarke. The character in this film is a technical engineer. He's an engineer, and wasn't that guy in Dead Space an engineer? Being by themselves, or at least this guy by himself on the spaceship, going through these corridors, and you have like creepy stuff going around, creatures every nook and cranny. Kind of remind me of like when Michael Keaton was playing Dead Space 2. The creatures, while here it's more, while in the game it was more about like the black mark, not black marker, but the red mark. I haven't played the game, so the marker, black marker or red marker? Shit. The marker, and you know, here it's like, it was kind of like people got mutated in a way. Yeah, I haven't played the game, so I don't know the story 100%. But here it's also, the creatures are people mutated, because what they found was the ship was set because Earth was being overpopulated and being fucked up, so they wanted to see if there was another planet, and there was another planet, Earth-like planet called Tanis. I think that was the name of it, Tanis. And it's like a over 100-year trip there. So pretty much a one-way trip. And on the way, people get fed these enzymes so that their bodies will adapt to the environment there 100%. But then they find out that something happened along the way when Ben Foster was in cryosleep, that the crew that was awake, they found out a transmission that Earth had been destroyed. And one of them had Pandorum. Now Pandorum is basically sort of space dementia, paranoia, you know, psychosis. Basically you go batshit crazy if you're out in space long enough, or you know, you've gone in, you know, cryosleep long enough, you wake up, and basically when you go cuckoo. That's kind of what Pandorum is. And that helped, you know, this guy kill his crew. And then he's like, man, there's no more Earth, and because he's batshit crazy, he let people out to play, do whatever the fuck he wants, and locked them so that they had to fight between themselves, and in order to get food, they had to eat one or the other, and the guy apparently just went back in cryosleep and let them do whatever the fuck they want. Because again, the guy's batshit crazy. And that, we don't know yet until the very end how long this has been going on. Instead of the enzymes adapting to the planet for future generations, these people have been adapting to the ship. So the fact that, the lead guy is an engineer, that you have a little bit where the guy is searching for the woman he loves, which I think was the first game. Again, I haven't played the first game. But then you find out that, is pretty much all for naught by the end of it. I'm not going to go into specifics on that. And then, going around corridors, dark corridors on this spaceship that apparently it's what's the right phrase for it? Dead in the water, so to speak, the ship. There's creatures roaming around that are kind of, in a way, mutated humans, in a way, and that they adapt to the ship, which I think some of the creatures in the game adapt to the ship. I don't know, a lot of it just remind me of the video game Dead Space. If you did a Dead Space movie, take elements of this, but only amplify, the action and the creatures and stuff, and of course, have it be Isaac Clarke and the suit and shit like that. But I'll just say that much for the plot until maybe the very end I'll give spoilers. But I enjoy this film. I always enjoyed this film. It didn't deserve the bomb like it did. 6.8 on IMDb, at least by the time I'm doing this review. So it's gotten an audience of some sort. It's getting an audience. It deserves it. I think what I liked about the film, for a number of reasons. Number one, the acting is great. I think Ben Foster and Dennis Quaid both do a good job. They're both solid actors. I think Christian Alvart did a very commendable job directing this film. He gave it a really nice, creepy, dark mood to it. He gave a dark vibe to the flick. It's definitely R-rated. It's definitely, there's not like shitloads of bad CGI in your face. I didn't really see much of CGI. I saw mostly practical effects. Really good special effects, whether it be the creatures. I like the look of the creatures. It's kind of like a cooler version of the guys in Ghost of Mars, John Carpenter's Ghost of Mars. I love John Carpenter's Ghost of Mars, but those creatures, but if like they're more bald and even more mutated, kind of like a cooler version. Really cool looking creatures. Really nice design by Stan Winston Studios, who did the creature effects. Really love the design of it. And it has the architecture of the ship. Granted, it's nothing you haven't seen before, but it works well. It definitely gives a dark vibe to it. Suspenseful aspect to the flick. The director just did a very commendable job creating this very dark, eerie mood. With the environment, with the music. I thought the music was well done by Michael Breach. Very solid job on that. And the film is not wall-to-wall action. It really isn't. It's not wall-to-wall action. There's not wall-to-wall fights. So maybe some people thought it was maybe too slow for them, but I didn't mind in this film. Ben Foster, he finds like this sort of anti-riot gun type thing that he puts on his wrist. Would love to have seen him use it more, but the few times he gets to use it, it's kind of like this, almost like a pulse. I'm not sure. Boom. Like he shoots one up close and like blows their head apart. But he shoots so far, like will push you back and stuff like that. But yeah, I would like to have seen him use it a little bit more, but that's just me. But then he meets some other survivors. Like he meets a woman who kicks his ass a few times. He meets a Vietnamese guy. I believe he's Vietnamese. Thought they saw on, yeah, on Wikipedia they say he's a Vietnamese guy who doesn't speak English. And they sort of team up to get to the reactor to fix it so that the whole place doesn't blow up. And yeah, it's not really a wall-to-wall action. It's more about getting to the plot. And I thought it was a really interesting story. I thought, the idea of Pandorum, being batshit crazy in space, the idea of these people being, what happened, and you sort of find out throughout the film what happened, why did it happen, what's going on, that these are really mutated humans, and, it works when the directing, the acting, the music, the atmosphere, the vibe of the film is really well done. The film, again, cost around 30-some million bucks, so it's not like they spent, like, a king's ransom on the flick. And the film looks good. It was well shot. Once in a while, the little bits of fights that you get, a little bit of the quick cuts, too much of a quick cuts, that's a tad annoying as well. But like the three of them fuck up this one, they each get their hits in, that was pretty cool. Ben Foster's character, like, I liked him. His reactions made sense to me. It wasn't like, okay, he's going to do something incredibly stupid. He's going to do something to try to save someone's life, or he's done something because he has to, or because he needs to know what's going on. But there wasn't too many, oh my god, you dumb fuck type of moments, at least to me, for the Ben Foster character, which made it more satisfying. Instead of like, oh my god, this kid's a fucking dumbass, fuck this guy. That wasn't the case, so I liked that aspect. Dennis Quaid did a good job. It was kind of interesting how the story unfolded, finding out what really happened to the film. Plus it was fun kind of watching the film and comparing it to Dead Space, the video game. Just what I've seen when Michael Keaton played Dead Space 2, really interesting and entertaining game. But I don't have any of those new video game systems, so I haven't played them. But yeah, it's not wall-to-wall action or wall-to-wall fights. Like another moment they meet another guy who's been there for a long time. He kind of explains how this pretty much started, why it's all happening. And then the moment when they get to the reactor and you have the Vietnamese guy making his last stand. And again, it's not wall-to-wall action, and you find out the sort of twist at the end. Which I'm going to get into spoilers now for the thing I didn't like. What I did not like about the film is the Dennis Quaid. I love Dennis Quaid, and he did a great job acting here. In a weird way, I almost kind of wish he would have been the lead. Although Ben Foster did an excellent job, I think it's just because I love Dennis Quaid, and it would have been nice to see him in the lead. Oh, he's too old. Bullshit, The only way you're too old is if you're dead. If it's Dennis Quaid, it's Dennis Quaid. But I think more getting to the point of the reason I said I didn't like. What I didn't like is his whole thing, because while all this is happening with Ben Foster, Dennis Quaid finds another guy, a younger guy, and it's basically them talking back and forth. And then you find out at the end that Dennis Quaid is going insane. That Dennis Quaid is insane. That the guy he's talking to is just his own mind fucking with him. And that Dennis Quaid is the guy who they talked about. He's the guy, he was one of the 3 crew that heard that Earth was gone. He started this whole shit. He let the people out, he let them there, he went back in his cryo sleep, and then he came out. So Dennis Quaid is the bad guy. And I don't know, I just didn't like that aspect. Granted, maybe because I like Dennis Quaid, and again, he did a good job with it. I think another aspect is that I kind of saw that coming. Like, when they spend so much time with Dennis Quaid and this guy, I'm like, this isn't really that interesting. Let's go back to Ben Foster and the creatures and the, that stuff. But when you realize that Dennis Quaid and this other guy, it's not really that interesting. I'm like, this guy, there's a reason for this. They're taking so much time. And they keep mentioning Pandorum and your mind, your mind playing tricks. And I'm like, this guy isn't real, is he? It's in his head. Dennis Quaid's the bad guy, isn't he? Because if you don't get Dennis Quaid, you're not going to get Dennis Quaid co-starring in a nothing role. I'm like, well, so far this guy hasn't gotten to do anything, Dennis Quaid. He's trapped in this one room. He found this guy. He's just talking to this guy. That's it. Once in a while guiding Ben Foster here and there. And I'm like, there's more to it. There's got to be more to it because you got Dennis Quaid and they spend so much time. It's in his fucking mind, isn't it? And I saw that coming. I think a lot of people would see that coming, and it wasn't surprising. And I'm like, because I've seen films like that, like Identity, which I'm not a fan of Identity and stuff like that. I'm like, of course. So that was a letdown, and I didn't like seeing Dennis Quaid be the bad guy. I'm like, oh, fuck, And I saw it coming, so it wasn't surprising. Didn't ruin the film for me at all. And again, I really like Dennis Quaid, but just that aspect of the film, I just like, wasn't the most interesting to me. It was more interesting when Ben Foster is with these other survivors. They're trying to survive against the creatures and finding out what's going on and stuff like that. That was more interesting. But at least it doesn't end on a down note. But other than that, I'm not sure what else I could say. I think it's a pretty good flick. I mean, again, it's not action-packed at all. It's not like Pitch Black. Like Pitch Black, I would say, has more of maybe an action movie vibe to it in a way. I mean, that's not wall-to-wall action either, but that one has a little bit of a, maybe because of the character Riddick, you have a little bit more of an action sort of, little bit of it. Even though it's more of a horror film, but again, Ben Foster only really fights the creatures. I mean, it's not about that. I'm just saying for people who go into this, it's more, I say more of a slower paced film, but at the same time, I never got bored with it because I think everything was, most part was well done. I thought the directing, the acting, the sets, they were fine. It was well shot. You had some good camera movements, and just transitions from one scene to another. It was an interesting story that I wanted to delve deeper in, and thought it was interesting how it all came to be and the specifics of it. Except the Dennis Quaid being crazy, I kind of saw that coming kind of a mile away. But the stuff with Ben Foster, and then you find out what's going on with the whole crew and the whole ship and why it's there and where it's at, which, again, the spoiler, well, the whole review spoiler, you find out that the ship has been under the water, that they've landed on that planet Tanis for who knows how long. Well, apparently they've been out for like 900 years, and that they've landed on that planet. And I didn't see that coming. I thought, wow, that's actually interesting that the whole time they've been under the water. Because you just assume that they've been in space, but they've been under the water the whole time. And I thought that was really cool. I thought, that's pretty. I did not see that coming. See that one, I'm like, I didn't see that coming. That's cool. That's very cool. So I like that aspect. But either way, I enjoy Pandorum. It's a very solid sci-fi film. Really well done creatures. I guess sci-fi horror film would be the best way to describe it. And it's really well done, Pandorum. It definitely gets a big thumbs up on it. I love Dennis Quaid, although with his character, you see it coming. That, and there's a little part of me that wishes, would it be cool if he was, I don't know. I love Dennis Quaid. But his stuff with his character, you kind of see him going a mile away. But other than that, really solid movie. Didn't deserve the bomb like it did. And it's sad when films like this bomb, you don't see them make more of this. And it's weird, the company who releases was Overture Films, and I don't know who the hell Overture Films are. And Constantine Films. Not really big distributors, Overture Films, who distributed it. Not really, well, I guess Stars, the cable company Stars, which I guess is why this was released on DVD, Anchor Bay Entertainment. But, you know, they did a good job with it. I guess Overture Films also released The Crazies, Law Abiding Citizen, Righteous Kill, Traitor, Sleepwalking, Mad Money. Not much. In early 2010, speculation of a sale of the studio rose due to many of its films failing at the box office. Its marketing and distribution are now handled by Relativity Media. Well, yeah, a lot of their films, like Traitor and this film, and a lot of them didn't do too well. Brooklyn's Finest. I don't even think Let Me In did. Oh, they did Let Me In. I don't think that did that well. But anyway, pretty damn good film. And yeah, and if they ever do actually make a movie on Dead Space, learn from this film. The vibe, the look, the R-rated tone, the seriousness, taking it seriously, having competent actors involved, and, you know, competently directed, the vibe of the film, really good practical creature effects, and good special effects. You know, it wasn't cartoony or it wasn't silly. Only if you do have a little bit more budget, a little bit more action, and more creatures and more action, you got a Dead Space movie. But either way, thanks for watching and take care. Later.